And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Huddle. It's KG9 streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined each week, each Thursday at 3 o'clock our time by Pat Parris. Good afternoon there. Pat, how are you?
Great, Jason. How are you doing? Coming from the home studio today. Just happened to
Pat
be
on
off
his
today.
day off, pitching it.
I'm dedicated to the huddle, Jason. Dedicated.
All right, well, we're going to talk a little bit about U of A basketball and football, of course, but I just wanted to touch on the Suns real quickly here. A 6-game winning streak. They're 4-0 without DeAndre Ayton this season. He's hurt right now with a knee injury. Frank Kaminsky, the Arizona Wildcat killer, comes in last night, scores a career high 31 points. You could tell in the post-game interview how much Chris Paul likes playing with him. Look, we've had this talk before the last couple of weeks about Ayton and the contract. I don't think he's a max player. I would give him the max contract because I don't want to upset the chemistry of the team. He could improve. You could lose him down the road, but his loss is not the same as Devin Booker or if Chris Paul was out.
You're right about the last point. He's of the 3 stars, he's number 3 in the order of importance, but he's also very important to this team and very important to what they did. Kaminsky, that's great, but that's just a handful of games. DeAndre Ayton will be back healthy and he'll be playing, and I think he'll be improving, Jason, as you pointed out. You expect him to improve. Is he a max player? You know, he's a fringe, but here's what I look at. It's like the housing market right now in Tucson, Jason. 2 years ago, a $250,000 house is now selling for $350,000 or above. Am I overpaying for that? Yes, but that's where the market is now. A max contract, what is it? 5 years, $172.5 million for DeAndre Ayton. Is that overpaying? Yeah, but that's where the market is. Look at all the other guys in his draft class that already got the max contracts, and arguably none of them have made it to the finals like he has. I just think you have to overpay, and you have to decide when to overpay. And I think it was a mistake for Robert Sarver and the Suns not to do the max contract before the season began. I still think it's a mistake, but I now see the handwriting on the wall. There is a chance that they may trade DeAndre Ayton. There's a chance. It might be very, very small.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I do too. I think it'd be a huge mistake.
Yeah,
but if you trade him before he's going to leave next year, potentially anyway, that's probably what they're looking at.
You're beating yourself. Okay, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time.
I don't want that to happen. Don't want that to happen, but yeah, okay. You're right.
All right, let's talk U of A football now. Pat, there's a couple of ways that you could look at this. One is this team's been on the cusp of a win. They've been so close. They've been fighting hard. Morale's great, and they got that win this past week, and now there's more to come. Or you could say, you know what? They scored 10 points against Cal's backups. That quarterback from Cal looked like he didn't belong on the field. He was awful. I'm sorry. He was just that bad. Their offense was terrible. As good as Arizona's defense was, you got a first-place Utah coming in. Las Vegas isn't impressed. Utah's a 24-point favorite. Arizona now has to play 3 games against teams with winning records to end the season. I would be shocked if they won one of these final 3. So you can look at the glass half full. You can look at it glass half empty. They're lucky they played a Cal team that was so shorthanded they can't even play this week because of COVID.
You and I, the last few weeks, have been saying they were going to steal a win, and they stole a win against Cal.
They got lucky. You got to get lucky. They got lucky.
Defensively, they deserved it. They played their hearts out. The defense looked phenomenal. By the way, Jason, they're up to 44th in defense now. In out of 130 FBS teams, they're up to 44th. That's a legitimate defense. Now you can argue the Cal quarterback was way overmatched, all that, but they ran some good schemes. They made him look bad too. I give them credit, but you're right. The way the offense has been anemic. I mean, it is just hapless, the Arizona offense right now. To go up against these next 3 opponents, it would be, we kind of expected that they could, pull an upset somewhere. Now I just don't see that either. I'm hopeful. I don't think it's going to be against Utah. I think this one, I think they're ripe for a letdown. That's what worries me too. And it's human nature, Jason, when you have 18 to 22-year-olds and they finally get that win in the, they were excited in the locker room afterwards. But after that, when they got back to their dorm rooms or their house, they just kind of went, it's off our back. And I'm worried that that's going to translate into Saturday afternoon.
Because morale has been so good on this team, especially a team that's had a long losing streak, you don't have a rift between the defense and the offense. Right. But on a lot of other teams, you would see that. when you've got one side of the ball playing so much better than the other side of the ball, which is holding the team back. And the defense is not bad. They still give up the big play, but they can get to the quarterback. I think Don Brown's done a good job, especially when you think about the defense in prior years. They would never get to the quarterback. They wouldn't even try. They would rush 3 guys and then play 8 back, and it just didn't work. He's getting to the quarterback. He's blitzing. I do think Don Brown and the defense has done a good job, but you would have a rift between the defense and the offense and a lot of other places that you don't have right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you think about what a reversal that is for a team that let's go 5 years. You go back even to Rich Rod and then through the Sumlin era, the offense was so far ahead of the defense the last 5 years that this is completely different. And I don't, there's a lot of things that I've shared with you and I've shared with our audience that I'm a little bit questioning when it comes to Jedd Fisch. But the one thing Jedd Fisch has done that I've been so impressed with, and that is keep these guys motivated, keep them together as a unit. There is no backstabbing. There is no, we did it, you got to do it. You didn't do it, we did. That kind of stuff. And the motivation, and never to question. It's that old. The process. It's the process. You got to believe in the process. They believed in the process, and they got so close a couple of times, and then they finally pulled it off. You're right. There's no butting of heads between the offense and the defense. They seem to be a cohesive unit, but now it just comes down to pure talent. And we've seen them lose games because they just don't have the talent. And I think they're really going to run into a few of these opponents in the next 3 weeks, at least 2 of the 3. Where they just don't even come close to having the talent.
Senior Day, Saturday at noon at Arizona Stadium. All right, let's touch quickly on U of A women's basketball before we get to the men. Adia Barnes has been saying, we're better this year than last year. And I'm thinking to myself, no, okay, you lost Ari McDonald, okay? It's okay to take a step back this season. And I thought maybe she was just instilling confidence in her team. But then you watch this team in the opening game, and even though they're only replacing Ari and Trinity Baptiste, one the star player and then another key contributor, they look like a different team. It is just a ton of firepower, front court play all over the place. A little concern about the backcourt and the backcourt scoring, but a lot of weapons everywhere on this team. And they're definitely a different team, if not a better team. I think that 22 ranking is too low for this team right now.
I would agree with that. What I've been impressed with, when we watched that team last year, it was Ari first, it was Kate Reese, and then there were some other players, Baptiste. Of course, Sam Thomas is always going to be a key
She didn't try to score last year because they didn't need her. She let Ari do it. She's scoring now. Yeah. She
was a great defender, so we know that. We watched on the defensive end. But there was a method to their madness of how they played, or there was a way that everything ran through Ari McDonald. And we understand that. She's a great player, and they made it to the national championship. Now you watch the other night and you're just like, wow, this team is so tough and physical. And this is what, to me, this is what a Stanford or a South Carolina in women's basketball has looked like for a long time. And Arizona's just never had enough athletes to kind of put that type of game out on the court. And then now all of a sudden, Adia Barnes has just turned a switch on, and they have a team that looks to me like a team that's going to be there for a long time, Jason. Like, this is the kind of style we're going to see. Yes, there'll be some 5-star, there'll be some star players coming in and out, but as a whole, she's just got these very physical and tough kind of grinding players that elevate them to a better. I think she's right. It's a better team. Now, will they make it back to the Final Four this year? We'll see. They certainly impressed me in game number 1.
Kaylin Gilbert and Maya Naji coming in next year. A couple of top recruits.
Yeah, they're number 6 recruiting class in the nation. We've never said that for the women's team ever.
UCLA did get Kiki Rice, and some of the other top ones are Pac-12 teams. So Pac-12 really separating itself in women's basketball.
Exactly.
The last couple of years. And then you have the men's basketball team, and I remember. Sean Miller always saying, well, the most improvement you see from a player is from their freshman to their sophomore season. And as we take a look at Tommy Lloyd in the basketball video from last night, They have 4 freshmen from last year who have improved a lot. Dalen Terry, Azuolas Tubelis, Kirk Kriisa, and Ben Mathurin. I think you really see it from Dalen Terry. His passing, as we see here, was terrific last night. He told us on a Zoom call last year, Pat, that his natural position was point guard. And we're like, what? And he said, no, I'm just, I'm not really saying that. I just want to get on the court and play, whatever position they need to be. Obviously, they had a point guard last year, James Akinjo. And I know that Kirk Kriisa is the point guard right now, and there isn't even a true point guard and doesn't have to be anymore. But his passing skills, I think, are very underrated. And the team just in general, yeah, it's NAU. But still, you can see the improvement from him and some of the other players.
And I think with Dalen Terry, what you're starting to see now too is this is a young player last year who was just kind of trying to find his way. It was COVID. It was a new experience and getting used to playing college basketball. He's now like the heart and soul of that team. I don't know if you get that sense, but I get the sense that he's kind of the go-to guy for them emotionally.
A lot of personality.
Yes.
And when Tommy Lloyd said there's a lot of personality on the team, you saw that in the red-blue game, and you see that in the post game with Dalen Terry and Kirk Kriisa and the headbands, and they let the fun out.
Yeah, they do. And then I think they kind of look to his energy too. And he's a real energy guy. Sometimes an energy guy gets a bad knock. Well, that's a guy that just kind of comes off the bench and uplifts the team when they need it. No, he's an energy guy as a starter. And I think that they feed off of that. I think he is probably more important to the team this year than I thought he was going to be. But I also love a lot of what the other guys are doing. The one stat that sticks out, Jason, that's kind of a new stat in the last 6-8 years, maybe 10 years, and that's the points per possession. And for a Gonzaga team or a Gonzaga style team like Tommy Lloyd will run here, you want to be one of the top 25 teams in points per possession. So that means every time you go down the floor, of course you'd want to get 2 points or 3 points. But anything over about a 1.15, anywhere about a 1.25, 1.3 points per possession is outstanding. That's Gonzaga level, right? They the other night they were 1.15. Some guys didn't have very good shooting nights, so that lowered it just a little bit. But when you're that 1.15 and above, that means you're among the top 40 or so teams in the country. And that's where they're at right now, just after one game. Yeah, it was NAU, but they're going to continue. You watch, and we'll watch that stat all year, that points per possession. And as long as they're at 1.15 or above, which I expect them to even go up a little bit more than that, that means you're scoring 80, 85 points a game. That's the Gonzaga formula that worked up in Washington, and it's going to work here for Tommy Lloyd if he can continue that.
And Kriisa looked to Lloyd one time. It was, I think, maybe early second half, was it? Or maybe it was in the first half when they were making the run. And Lloyd didn't call out a play. He just went like this.
Just go.
Just go, man.
Just go. Yeah. And you've got some guys that are going to have hot nights and cold nights. Ben Mathurin did not have a good night. That's not like Ben Mathurin. We've seen Ben Mathurin score 40-plus points before. Then you have a Kirk Kriisa who, in that exhibition game, did not shoot the ball well. He shot a little bit better. Maybe he's taken a few too many three-pointers. But you know what? That scoring touch will come around. They've got a lot of guys that can shoot the ball.
Christian Koloko looked good, 5 block shots. Ballo has his moments. He's still inconsistent.
He's a project.
He's getting there. So maybe depth in the front court might be a little bit of an issue. But yeah,
that's what these preseason games are for, though, Jason. What do they have? Rio Grande Valley. Then they have North Dakota State. They'll play a Wichita State team that I don't think is very good, and then they'll play either Michigan or UNLV. So they'll get a little, they'll get a couple of games in that they can keep improving on, and then they'll get a little challenge when they go to that tournament where they play Wichita State and either the winner of the Michigan UNLV game if they beat Wichita State. So there's some time to improve, and there's certainly chances to face some better teams, but only after you play 3 games that aren't that tough.
Yeah, they need to see where their weakness is, which they're not going to see tomorrow night against Texas Rio Grande Valley.
No.
Or any of the lower conference level opponents. So, but yeah, no, I was pleased, with what I saw, and it was nice for him to have that statistic. No Wildcat coach has won by that many in his debut since Pop McHale.
Pop McHale,
in 1914, 15.
And in case our viewers don't know Pop McHale, well, yes, it is McHale Center, and it is one of the legendary coaches in all of athletics at the U of A, and it's a great history with him.
And I know it's NAU, but hey, we saw what happened with the football team against NAU, and we've seen upsets.
And don't forget, in football, NAU is at a certain level, but in basketball, that it's still a mid-major program. It's still a program that can, in a conference that sometimes knocks off, a top team every once in a while. So, you can't take them lightly, and they didn't, and they were the dominant team. You saw it with was it a 29-point win?
81-52.
Yeah.
81-52. Kirk Kriisa with 17 points led the way. Dalen Terry, 7 assists. Christian Coloco, 5 blocks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So you're in your polo shirt at home. You're not going to be on the 5 and 6 and 10 o'clock.
I am not. You're going to have to carry the torch for me at 6 o'clock with your sports, because I'm going to not be available today. Just taking a couple of days off, and I'll be back. I'm going to watch the game tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that, to the men's game tomorrow night, just to see.
Yeah.
And then I'll be at the game on Saturday, out there in the blazing hot sun like it was last weekend when they
It'll
won.
It'll be 3 degrees cooler. I think
3 whole degrees, Jason. We got to hang our hat on something, but there'll be sunscreen and water, and it'll be good.
Our weather department, I believe, was saying 87 last night for a high for Saturday. I think it was 90 this past Saturday. I might be off by a degree or two, but
you know what I'd like to see though, Jason, is I'd like to see fans who bought those tickets actually show up, because it was a very disappointing crowd last week for a
terrible
game.
Crowd.
And they deserve the support. I can only do what I can do.
It was a factor.
There's no doubt.
If you look in the north end zone, there was nobody there, and if you look
except
in the
for
south
me,
end,
that's where my tickets are. Yeah.
There was nobody in the north end zone, but in the south end zone, it was 3/4 packed.
And the west side of the stadium, kind of followed the shade all the way around. And there were a lot of people underneath, because we'd go back up into the shade, my wife and I, because we can't stay out in the sun the entire time. But it still was this team's deserves our support, just like the men's and women's basketball teams too, and we can't forget that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and the losing streak is over. All right, so we got U of A women on TV, one of the ESPN channels, tomorrow at 2:30 against Louisville, and then you got the men playing Rio Grande Valley tomorrow night, and then you got the football team
football game,
at noon, and hopefully they follow up that win with a decent performance, and it doesn't look like what happened against San Diego State or Colorado or one of those games where might take away a little bit from the good feeling a week before if they come out and just stink up the joint like they have a couple games earlier this year. So,
all right, just a nice solid performance. That's what we're looking for.
All right, well, enjoy your days off from the news.
Thank you, Jason.
For those who didn't see last night, your co-anchor Heidi Alaga is back.
That's right.
And so she'll be doing the news with me, and Kyler Diggs is back. He was off a couple of days for a couple of days. So we'll
all be back on Monday, right? We'll all be in on Monday. So
you'll be in on Monday. I'll be in on Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
That's right.
That's a couple of weeks that you'll be.
And it'll be Thanksgiving is what, 2 weeks from today?
Yeah.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah. All right.
It's everything's moving along.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Pat, for joining here on your off day here on the Huddle on the KGUN 9 streaming platforms, which people are now going to watch on OTT. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you when I see you. Enjoy the games this week. Thanks, everybody, here on the Huddle.